back. I'm Dr. Cheek. I'm a licensed clinical psychologist, and today I want to talk a little bit about anger. So, first of all, what is anger? Anger is an activating emotion that motivates us to move or respond in a certain way. It is also an emotion that's a reaction to an internal and external irritant or something that causes some level of annoyance and frustration. However, anger is typically not our primary emotion. Anger is typically a secondary emotion that tends to be protecting, diminishing, or rejecting what we feel is a vulnerable or an uncomfortable emotion, such as like shame or guilt or embarrassment or fear or any of those emotions that we kind of feel uncomfortable with. Anger tends to be the primary response that we feel is present, although it's secondary to that initial emotion that we don't feel comfortable expressing. And just like any other emotion, anger exists on a continuum of intensity from irritation or annoyance to enraged. And each one at each level of intensity, it kind of evokes a different bodily response. However, anger itself doesn't have a predefined response. We often associate aggression and violent behavior to anger. However, we don't have to react or respond in violent or aggressive ways when we've been angered or upset in any way. Behavior is about 90% a choice. There are times where anger gets to the point where our ability to reason and think things through goes offline, and we are kind of being driven by emotions to behave in a certain way. That tends to be when your behavior may be a little bit outside of your control because your rational mind in that moment is not dictating how you're responding. Anger does not have predefined behavioral responses. Therefore, some of those behaviors that we tend to want to justify by being angry are not justifiable. So it's not justifiable to have an angry outburst because someone has upset you. That's 9 times out of 10 a choice. You can deal with anger in multiple ways. The primary way that we tend to teach people how to manage anger is by answering this hallmark question. And that hallmark question is, why did this, and insert whatever caused you to become angry, make me angry? We tend to not actually question our emotional responses. We tend to kind of let those emotions just go however they're going. Sometimes we need to stop and question what's actually happening in that emotion. So if I'm experiencing or if I'm feeling anger, why am I feeling angry at this moment? Why did that thing, insert whatever you need to do in the blank, cause me to feel angry? And along with that question, a secondary question could be, what am I truly feeling right now? Am I really feeling embarrassed? Am I really feeling uneasy or afraid? So I'm responding out of anger, because anger is that motivating emotion. Anger is that emotion that we use and we kind of utilize to justify us doing certain things. We say, I was angry, so I ended that relationship. Or I was angry, so I walked out of the room. I was angry, so and insert whatever you felt justified in doing because you felt upset. So anger is that activating emotion that motivates us to respond or react to a situation. However, if we want to learn how to manage the anger, I want you to take some time to ask yourself that hallmark question. Why did blank make me angry? Followed by, what emotion am I truly feeling? And if it's anger, hopefully in this moment, you being able to question yourself has given you the time and the opportunity to kind of think through how you want to respond to this situation. Now that I've taken stock in what I'm truly feeling in this moment, how do I want to respond? Anger has the ability to do what anger can do, which is destroy. If your goal is to destroy, then you take that step. However, if you do not want to destroy, if you simply want to try to learn how to resolve, or if you want to resolve the situation, being able to take a step back, assess your own emotions, and then say, this is how I want to handle this situation. It's one of the ways that we tend to teach people how to manage their anger. Also, we have to kind of manage our expectations. Sometimes anger comes out of expectation. So there's an expectation that I shouldn't have to stand in line, or I shouldn't have to wait 30 minutes in the doctor's office to be seen, or I shouldn't insert whatever you feel like you shouldn't have to do. And it's those expectations that we shouldn't, or this should be an easier process, or this should be a certain way, that kind of gets us to a place where we start to feel anger. And sometimes we need to adjust our expectations. So I've been living in Georgia for the better part of almost 20 years now. And I've had to deal with Atlanta traffic for much of that. And if you've ever been in Atlanta, you know what Atlanta traffic looks like. So road rage, unfortunately, is common in Atlanta. And what I mean by adjust your expectations, if you've ever been on 85, 285, 75, 400, or even 20. You know that chances are if you get out on the highway at any point on Friday after 2 p.m., and maybe it starts at 1 p.m. now, that you are going to be stuck in some level of traffic. So what adjusting your expectations look like is, instead of me getting on this highway with the expectation I'm going to get to my destination in the stated time, I'm 30 minutes away, I'll get there in 30 minutes. Adjust those expectations and say, it is Friday at 2 p.m. and Friday at about 1:30, traffic starts to back up in and around the Atlanta metro area. So my expectations is I may not get there in 30 minutes. Chances are I'm going to get held up on this highway, and we're going to have to make stops at some point along the way on this highway. Does it keep things from becoming irritating while you're driving? No, but it doesn't allow you to get to the point where you're so enraged that you're huffing and puffing, or your blood pressure is going up in the car, or you're weaving in and out of traffic because you're so upset. It lets you understand that this is to be expected. It's nothing I have to be upset about. Yes, it is irritating the way someone is driving. However, I don't have to allow this to ruin my day. I have the choice to either manage this anger at this level, or I can make it worse by reacting in a way that makes me that much angrier, by driving aggressively, or honking, or holding my finger out the window, or hoping the person can actually hear me in my car. Side note, they can't. So with that being said, in order to manage your emotions, you may need to manage your expectations of situations. Going into situations with the realistic expectations of what can happen in the situation. So learn to adjust your expectations so that your anger is at a level that it needs to be. Maybe you're just slightly irritated instead of completely enraged. Learning how to adjust can help us manage our anger. I hope you've learned something from today, and I hope you take away from this video something that's informative and kind of can help you learn to manage your anger. There are multiple anger management groups, classes, courses, things of that nature that can actually help you manage your anger in a more individualistic way. This is a generalized overview of anger. Hopefully it helps. Thank you for listening. I'll see you again very soon.